Welcome. This is the second half of my Ford Bronco purchasing saga. And as you can see, the Bronco is in fact in my driveway, which I gotta say is pretty damn exciting. And in many ways, I think it actually does live up to the hype. But I'll leave that for another video. In the meantime, why don't we head inside and I'll tell you all about how I've actually come to be in possession of this Ford Bronco after 2 years of a full-on circus. So, last time we left off with a Ford build tracker saying that the Bronco had been shipped and delivered to the dealer, and that the dealer was now doing final prep work on the Bronco. After that, I checked the build tracker, and when I typed my VIN number in, I see that the tracker no longer brought me to the regular page. It just said that, quote, "This vehicle has already been delivered. Please visit our owner properties to learn more about your vehicle." Whoa! The Bronco has been delivered? That's wonderful news. But I looked out my window, and to my surprise, there was no Bronco there. How strange. Must have been a mistake. And you know that feeling you get when it dawns on you that you know where this is going? Yeah, so I went to the dealer's website, checked their new stock, and what do you know? My Bronco was listed on their website to the tune of nearly $70,000, far more than my MSRP was quoted at. So I pick up the phone and call my salesperson direct phone number. No answer. I call the dealership and ask to be transferred to my salesperson, to which the front desk tells me that the salesperson is coming in later in the morning. I asked the front desk to have him call me first thing when he gets in. The time when he was supposed to arrive passes, and I call the front desk again and ask if my salesperson was in yet. Yes, he was, so they transferred me, but he still doesn't pick up. Now I'm starting to get a little more than upset. I call the front desk again, and this time asked to be transferred to anyone in sales. This time I get through to someone. I explain to them the situation, that I ordered, canceled, but then reinstated the order with my original salesperson. He said that typically canceled orders just go to the lot to sell as a matter of course, but that he'd check in with my original salesperson and get back to me. While I waited, I was basically getting ready to go to war. I waited over 2 years, gave them another chance, to which they agreed, then turned their back on me. Not cool. I was fully prepared to go in there, read them the riot act, and cause a full scene in the lobby because I was out of fucks to give at this point. I printed out the email from my salesperson saying that the order was reinstated. I printed out my window sticker, which is green, denoting that it's in fact a customer order, and a whole bunch of other shit to basically go full lawyer on their asses. Then my phone rings, and it's the second salesperson again. He says that if I want the Bronco, then I am more than welcome to come and get it, that he would now be my salesperson. Let's call my new salesperson Jim, and the original salesperson Dick. So my wife and I go into the dealer, spot our Bronco right away. There it was, in all its cactus gray 2-door glory. We go to the lobby and are greeted by Jim. He offers us to test drive it, and we get to sit in this Bronco for the very first time. And I gotta say, we loved it. The exterior design scratched my square body itch, and the interior was pleasant, utilitarian. It was more or less perfect, just like we had envisioned. The rest of the dealer experience was more or less standard dealer bullshit. I had to argue over every red cent for my trade-in value, had to argue over the fact that they applied some $1,200 coat of Resistol to the Bronco without my asking because they were gonna go sell it to somebody else, and therefore that's just their standard procedure, just coat it in some shit and then upcharge the fuck out of it. Dick, by the way, in the meantime, was nowhere to be seen. Not that I knew what he looked like, but he certainly didn't come out to greet us, and in hindsight, I found it strange that nobody was like, "Hey, welcome to the Ford family," or that nobody even bothered going through all the features of the Bronco as if I'm supposed to come pre-programmed with this knowledge. Matter of fact, my wife and I got this sense that they just wanted us to get the fuck out of the dealership as fast as possible because our very presence seemed to make them a bit uncomfortable. It was weird. Either way, once all the financing stuff was done, Jim stated plainly that when the feedback survey comes my way, that I should give him a 5 out of 5 or else he fails the survey. Okie dokie then, and we left in our Bronco. So just what the fuck happened? Because it sure looked to us like Dick wanted desperately to sell the Bronco to somebody else at way over sticker price to a walk-in customer, and then if we happened to show up, tell us that he made an oopsie poopsie and then to go pound sand because, oh well, the Bronco is gone. What do you want me to do about it? Because remember, as the person who initiated the custom order, I'm entitled to pay MSRP as quoted from the factory, which was about 15 grand less. And when we actually show up, they scramble. Dick seems to go into hiding, and we get a new salesperson. I have no idea what happened in the time between when I called Jim on the phone, him telling me that he'd get back to me, and then suddenly the Bronco becoming available. But it sure looked like Dick did something he wasn't supposed to, or more accurately, was found out by me, and then they had to activate some kind of alternative, "Aw shit, we've been busted" protocol. At the very least, that's what it looked like. Because remember, this Bronco came decked out with stickers saying it was for a customer. My name was attached to the VIN on Ford's online tracker this whole time, even after I quote-unquote canceled the order. Aside from the green sticker, you have this big fat window sticker that says retail. That's me. And then the Ford survey rolled in, and I pretty much wrote on it exactly what I just described in this video. The whole timeline of events, including the circus at the dealer. I even included a link to my previous YouTube video in said survey. And interestingly, a few days later, I received a phone call from the general manager of the dealer. Let's call him Todd. And I will reenact my conversation with Todd in the style of Columbo.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant. I am Todd, General Manager at the Ford dealer. I have received your survey back, and I understand you were not happy with the experience. I have even watched most of your YouTube video. It was a very interesting perspective. I'm calling to see if there's anything we can do to rectify the situation.
Good afternoon, Todd. I didn't expect anyone to call me back regarding the survey, with what usually happens to surveys and all. And you say you even watched a part of my video. Gee, that's terrific. Well, I'm sure you're a busy man. You see, I couldn't help but notice that after my agreement to reinstate the order for the Bronco with Dick, that for some reason, my Bronco was listed on your website at way over MSRP. And I thought to myself, isn't that something? After being patient for over 2 years, what with this emotional roller coaster and all, I thought I was imminently to become the proud owner of this fine automobile, only to find out that the dealer was busy trying to sell it behind my back, and that's just not something I appreciate. So it's just really hard to say what you could do for me at this point, unless you happen to be a time traveler, of course.
I know what this looks like. See, we have limited allocations, and well, Dick, he just made a mistake, and I'll be straight with you. I wouldn't want to ruin a customer relationship over a few $1,000s.
Well, that's certainly a relief. I'm glad you didn't try to hurt our relationship by trying to sell the Bronco to somebody else. Just one more thing. Why are you apologizing on Dick's behalf, and why wasn't he my salesperson? I mean, with this being an honest mistake and all, I would certainly have looked the other way, but I just find it peculiar that with him listed as my salesperson on the Ford tracker, and between my 2 conversations with Jim, Dick just seems to have disappeared altogether. And that's just strange to me.
Yes, how very observant of you. That is because Dick is a sales manager. You see, we don't often do custom orders, so the sales managers were put in charge of all the online transactions. But typically the salesperson is who would finalize the order.
All right then. That explains it.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to credit you some Ford Pass rewards points and refund you $400 for the Resistol code that you were not happy with. You will get a follow-up survey after this. Please be sure to give us a 5 out of 5, or else Jim gets the short end of the stick on that one. And anything else you need, don't hesitate to call me.
Great, I will consider it. Have a good rest of your day.
I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's more or less how my conversation with Todd went. Afterwards, he sent a follow-up email restating basically the same things, that I was not satisfied with this resistol and that how this all would seem. And from my vantage point, that's exactly how it was. Had I not intervened, that Bronco would have been long gone. The odometer already read 179 miles by the time I got to it. So, this interaction was certainly better than nothing, because my experience with surveys has been that they get thrown right into a spiraling void, each survey adding to its increasingly inescapable mass. But a few problems with the survey follow-up. I mean, my entire experience from start to finish was kind of shit, and very little could be done to make up for that. See, when I used to work at Dunkin' Donuts, the unofficial policy for dealing with irate customers was to basically throw free donuts at them until they went away. And for me, I think it was no different. Throw some money at me until I shut up. I mean, I get it in a sense. What else could they really do after the fact? But what grates me, though, is that in all of this, Dick is nowhere to be found. And personally, I would have respected it if Dick came out, apologized, and admitted that, yeah, he'd really rather have sold it at way over MSRP, because MSRP for a dealer probably isn't a very big margin, and that a dealer lives and dies by those margins. I would find that explanation a lot more plausible than a long series of oopsies were made, as if the green sticker fell off the window, this sticker, the retail sticker, got sucked up into a tornado, or that my name was wiped clean off the database that he forgot, or that the email got lost in another dimension. But in the end, what does this all mean? What's the moral of the story? Truthfully, I think this highlights a rather contentious conflict of interest between the dealer and the manufacturer. And it's not just Ford, because the manufacturer, for all their flaws, at the end of the day, appear to be very proud of what they built. They hyped the fuck out of the Bronco, continued to build it despite supply chain issues and these times, and in the end delivered an incredible truck. There's evidence all over the Bronco that it isn't just some corporate focus group driven cash grab. It's in the details. The design is incredible. They didn't have to stamp Bronco into practically every bolt, but they did. There's Easter eggs all over the place, and it's actually just a very practical and competent truck. The dealer, though, to them it's about money. That's a fact they can't escape no matter what they say. The fact is, they did try to sell it to someone else to capitalize on dealer markup or market adjustments. They also do whatever they can to get me to sign up for this and that warranty, some maintenance plan, or pay $1,000 for what amounts to a wax coat, get me to part with my trade-in for as little as possible. It's a game. It's a circus. This happens every time, no matter which dealer I have went to. And that is where a huge disconnect happens between the manufacturer and dealers. Because as a manufacturer, they probably would want to know why it is that I'm choosing their brand at all. They'd want to know if I enjoy the product. They'd also want to know how they can make it better. Because all these questions define where they're going to go as a company in the future and whether or not 10 years from now I'll buy another Ford. As a matter of fact, you have no fucking idea what kind of customer walks through your door on any given day. Because at its most neutral, perhaps a customer isn't interested and you made $0. Okay, whatever. On the other hand, I could be a swinging dick who happens to be managing a huge landscaping company that spans the entire East Coast. And if you impress me with great customer service, I might just be inclined to go with Ford to purchase 100 fleet trucks. The corollary is also true. I could be an influencer with a ton of loyal followers, and if I get a shit experience, my subscribers will hear about it, and you have a potential public relations disaster on your hands. But with the dealer as the middleman, I'm not sure the manufacturer will ever get to hear about any of this, and therefore has no impetus to become better as a company. Hell, if you're in charge for, say, vehicle sales projections at Ford, and a dealer is feeding you bogus information about a sale, like I suspect was the case for me, then Ford is going to have the wrong expectation about even how many cars they need to produce to meet demand, which could potentially lead to them having lots full of cars that nobody wants. So, if anything was to come of this, I would very much like it if not just Ford, but most manufacturers really examined their sales model here. Because I think that for decades, people have just kind of accepted getting screwed by a dealer and getting a shit experience was a matter of course. Or if they haven't, I suspect that's why so many people are on antidepressants. But I don't think that ought to be the case anymore because it's not sustainable. To quote a really good line from the show Chernobyl, every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth. Sooner or later, that debt is paid. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. The corollary, I don't know how to pronounce that.